Actually, hold on one sec. Well, now I'm ready to do this video. The biggest video of the season every single year on my channel. We are back for the third straight year of doing my 2021 MLB season predictions of every division, every team, Rookie of the Year, MVP, Cy Young, and World Series predictions. Now, the last 2 years, they haven't been great. I've picked the Mets. I think many of you probably know that, but I think this year's different. This year, I have a chance, better than ever, I think, to have a 100% accurate prediction. I'm excited to tell you guys what I'm thinking. I'm excited for the baseball season. Before we do get going into my predictions, these videos do take a lot of time to make, so if you guys please could drop a like on the video if you do enjoy it. It does help support the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet done so. Talking baseball every single day over here, so if you love baseball, you want to see this content, click that sub button. If it's red, you're not sub, join the team. Get in the comment section down below. Yes, this is my predictions, but I also want to know what you guys are thinking down in the comment section below. Let me know who you think is going to win the World Series, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, second channel. Links to all my other social media in the description down below. So without further ado, let's get going into my 2021 season predictions, getting it started off, of course, as always, with the American League East. Coming in 5th place in the American League East, I think you guys probably have a good idea of who it's going to be. It's the Baltimore Orioles. While they're getting Trey Mancini back, they're going to have a full season of Ryan Mountcastle. Maybe Adley Rutschman gets called up. Santander looked great. This team still isn't very good. Still isn't there just yet, and the pitching is incredibly weak, like one of the worst pitching staffs in all of baseball. Outside of John Means, there's not much there. Orioles are clearly the last place team in the American League East, but they are better, and they've got help coming, especially if Adley Rutschman gets called up this year. 4th place, I'm going with the Boston Red Sox again. Sorry, Boston fans. This is not your year. While the offense is still loaded, you've got Verdugo, you got JD, you got Devers, you got Bogarts, you got Bobby Dahlbeck, Christian Vasquez, you added Kike Hernandez. I don't think that the pitching is going to be good enough to at least compete in this division for a first, second place finish. The rotation is not anything to go crazy about, and the bullpen outside of Adam Ottavino and maybe Matt Barnes, a little weak. So Red Sox not there just yet. They're going to be very competitive, and I think they finish maybe even above 500, but they're still in 4th place in my eyes. 3rd place, while they had an exciting offseason, I'm going to go with the Toronto Blue Jays. I really want to see them do well. I want them to win the division. They're like who I'm rooting for in the AL East, but I just don't think they're there yet. The offense is absolutely stacked. Guerrero, Bichette, Tellez, Biggio, Springer, Gurriel, Alejandro Kirk. I mean, their offense is loaded. The pitching is crazy weak, specifically on the starting side. Only Hyun-Jin Ryu. Bullpen nice. Kirby Yates, Dolis, Romano. Those are solid arms, but the team overall isn't built, I think, to be a serious contender over a 162-game season just yet. Need some more pitching. If they can get that, this is a team that's gonna skyrocket right up, though. Oh yeah, and Simeon. I forgot about Simeon. He's on that team too. Still, 3rd place. 2nd place, I don't know why people are sleeping on them. The Tampa Bay Rays. I understand that the Rays lost Blake Snell this offseason, but that was a guy who pitched like every 5 or 6 days for about 5 innings or less last year. This isn't a team that needs Blake Snell in order to be competitive. Luis Patino is gonna be sick. The Rays added some pitching. They've got all these great young arms. They brought in Waka, they brought in Hill, they brought in McHugh, they brought in Chris Archer. These guys, while they're not great high leverage starting pitchers, for what the Rays do and how they play matchups and how they use pitchers, openers, short bursts, they're gonna use them well, they're gonna use them smart, and they're gonna have good seasons. You still got Glasnow out there, and Austin Meadows is still there, Randy Arozarena, G-Man Choi. I love Willie Adames. Like, this is a really good team still. I wouldn't be sleeping on them. 2nd place in the AL East. I think 162 is a little tougher than 60, but they're still damn good. And then in 1st place, I think probably the best team in the American League, the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees are just studs everywhere. Around the infield, they've got all-stars. Voit, LeMahieu, Gleyber Torres, Urshela, even Gary behind the plate can't be much worse than last year. And then the outfield, Aaron Judge, who's an MVP candidate. You got Aaron Hicks. Clint Frazier's looking really good so far this spring, and Giancarlo as the DH. The starting rotation isn't super strong. A lot of question marks there with Kluber, Tyone, and Severino coming back from injuries, but you still got Garrett Cole, who's one of the best pitchers in baseball, and the bullpen's loaded. The Yankees are a 1st place team without a doubt. Off to the American League Central we go, getting it started off at the bottom. I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Royals. Even though they had an active offseason, and even though they've got some young players, I think they're a 5th place team. And if you notice a common denominator here, they've got no pitching. While they went out and grabbed Mike Minor, adding him to Brady Singer and Brad Keller just doesn't feel like enough for me to be a team that's not a bottom dweller in this division. They also added Michael Taylor, they added Carlos Santana, Andrew Benintendi, but these moves aren't enough for me to make them get a little bit higher, and I'm just feeling really optimistic about some of the other teams. Like, yes, the Royals have Whit Merrifield, who's a Gamecock, who I love. They've got Hunter Dozier, they got Adalberto Mondesi, they've got Jorge Soler, they've got Salvador Perez. But I think that this team might end up eventually being sellers, especially at the deadline if they're not really involved in a playoff hunt. Bullpen's strong, but I don't think it's strong enough to keep them outside of 5th place. 4th place, I'm going with the Detroit Tigers. I think this might surprise people. I think they're the pick typically for 5th, but I like AJ Hinch too much to think that this team isn't going to be able to turn around. And while they don't have as many names right now now as the Royals, I think that they have a lot of young talent that could be coming up this year and making a huge impact. They have 3 pitchers inside the top 25 prospects in Matt Manning, Casey Mize, and Tariq Skubal, all expected to be up this year in pitching. Riley Green's on his way up, that can have a big impact. You've got Willie Castro, that's going to be in the middle infield spot, probably shortstop. He's a really good player, I think. Jeimer Candelario hit well last year, and they grabbed some veterans in Robbie Grossman, Wilson Ramos, Nomar Mazara that can help fill out the rest of this team. The bullpen, definitely a question mark, but I like a lot of the young arms that they have. So the Tigers, for me, 4th place. I'm feeling good about them. 3rd place, a little bit of a disappointing season, but after the offseason that they had, the Cleveland Indians are probably going to be happy with 3rd place. In an offseason where you lose Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco, it's hard to be considered as one of the better teams in your division, but because of how good their pitching is and how good their bullpen will be, they still have a chance to make the playoffs. Shane Bieber, top 3 pitcher in the league. You still got Plesac, Savali, Tristan McKenzie is a beast. Bullpen Karinchak, disgusting, like filthy, and they just make arms out there, so it really doesn't matter. And then you got Jose Ramirez. Eddie Rosario was a solid pickup. Franmil Reyes is still there. While this team is not nearly as good as it once was, I think that they have a good enough team that's going to be competing for a wild card spot, especially in what's considered like a division that's still kind of up for grabs. 2nd place in the AL Central, Minnesota Twins. The Minnesota Twins are so close to being like a dirty team. I'm talking top tier in baseball, but they just need more starting pitching in my eyes. Maeda and Barrios just isn't going to be enough. Now, they do have J Happ, they do have Michael Pineda, they do have guys like Dobnak and Smeltzer that can step in at the number 5 spot. I'm just not really feeling great about relying on those guys and having Barrios and Maeda carry the load. Maeda's great. Barrios scares me a little bit. Hasn't really broke out or shown us the Cy Young caliber stuff we thought he'd have. The bullpen's really strong. Colomé, Rogers, and Duffy. And then at the plate, I mean, they're loaded. The offense is great, and I love the pickup of Andrelton Simmons. Sano, Donaldson, Garver / Jeffers. You got Kepler, you got Buxton, you got Kirilloff, you got Polanco. I mean, that lineup is fantastic. Nelson Cruz. They're going to score a lot. I'm not sure how the pitching is going to do, which is why I have them in 2nd. And then in 1st place, I picked them last year to make the playoffs, and I was right. I'm sticking with it again. The Chicago White Sox. They've got some shades of the Chicago Cubs teams that won a World Series. They got some feelings of those Houston Astros teams. They have got an incredible young core right now, along with some good pitching that has the chance to be a serious World Series contender. Love Lucas Giolito as their ace. They got Lance Lynn. That was a really good pickup. Dallas Keuchel, and then guys like Cease, Ronaldo Lopez, Carlos Rodon, Michael Kopech can fill in the back end of that rotation. Bullpen, you added Liam Hendricks, who's arguably the best closer in baseball. Around the field, you got Abreu, Moncada, Anderson, Grandal, Madrigal, Robert, Jimenez, and Andrew Vaughn probably at DH. I mean, this team's loaded. They are a team that is someone to watch out for. And then for the final division, the American League, let's go to the AL West. 5th place, I think it's obvious, arguably one of the worst teams in baseball, the Texas Rangers. Outside of Joey Gallo, there's just not much to talk about there. He is the only real bright spot right now. You have a few young players in Sam Huff and Leody Taveras that you can watch out for, but that's pretty much it for the Rangers. It's Joey Gallo and everybody else. The offense was horrendous last year. I don't expect it to get much better. And the pitching is just, whew, the pitching's not good on both sides. So the Rangers are a 5th place team. 4th place, I'm going with the Angels. I don't think the Angels have done enough to be a good team like a lot of people think they are. I understand the division's weak, but I think the Angels are one of those weak teams. They have refused to get Mike Trout pitching. I don't understand why. There's a clear and obvious need for this Angels team. It's pitching, and they just don't address it. Trout, Rendon, Fletcher, and Ohtani. Those are the big bats offensively. But then on the pitching side, Ohtani's still a question mark because of his health. Bundy's been solid, but again, that was in a 60-game season after being a little inconsistent in his career. You got Heaney, you got Quintana, you got Cobb, you got Canning. Like, that's not a rotation that screams to me playoff team. And their bullpen's bad. They got Iglesias, that's it. The Angels, I'm not high on them right now. I wish I could be, because I want Mike Trout in the playoffs, but this team's just not strong. 3rd place, surprising a lot of people, and maybe could even sneak into the 2nd place spot, the Seattle Mariners. Now, this sounds crazy, I'm aware, but I really do think that Jared Kelenich's going to get called up this year, make a huge impact, and be able to help turn this team around. And I like a lot of the players that they have at their position. In the outfield, let's say Kelenich's going to be there. You got Mitch Haniger, you got Taylor Trammell, you got Kyle Lewis. Those are 4 really good outfielders. On the infield, Seager's a solid 3rd baseman. I like Dylan Moore at 2nd. Evan White at 1st is going to improve. He's too talented not to. And then on the pitching side, grabbing a guy like James Paxton is going to help. Yusei Kikuchi looked like he figured it out a little bit last year. I expect him to get better again. Justin Dunn is there. They have a ton of young pitching and guys like Logan Gilbert who are going to come up. And the bullpen, while there aren't any big names, watch out for the Mariners bullpen. If they're not competitive, they're going to be selling off a lot of these pieces and getting more players back because they have some arms out there. So I like the Mariners to finish in 3rd place. 2nd place, Oakland A's. And I can't doubt the Oakland A's ever. Luzardo, I'm waiting for the breakout. I want him to. He's got filthy stuff. Maybe this is the year. But outside of that, it's like a lot of 3 and 4 starters. Bullpen, crazy strong. They brought in Trevor Rosenthal to replace Liam Hendricks. Got Sergio Romo, Jake Diekman, Yasmero Petit. I mean, they've got a great bullpen. And then on the offensive side, Laureano, Olsen, Chapman, Murphy. A's are 2nd place. place, I think. And for first place in the American League West, I think everyone would agree the best team in that division, the Houston Astros. The Astros still have their core pretty much together outside of Springer. You got Correa, Altuve, Bregman, alongside Michael Brantley and Kyle Tucker. Those are 5 really, really good players. Yuli Gurriel might return, he might not, back to his old form. Center field is going to definitely be an issue, but they still have strong starting pitching, even with Framber Valdez going down. They just signed Odorizzi, they got Greinke, McCullers, Urquidy, Christian Javier, Josh James. I think I'm even forgetting somebody. I like the rotation a lot. And on the bullpen side, Ryan Presley, Andre Scrub, Brooks Raley, Blake Taylor, Inoli Paredes, Pedro Baez. They grabbed some arms this offseason. I like what the Astros are doing over there. They're still the best team in that division in my eyes. And then let's talk playoff picture, Rookie of the Year, Cy Young MVP, and then I'll go through my playoff predictions at the end after the National League teams are set. For the playoff picture, we got the Yankees, White Sox, and Astros because they won their division, and then the wildcard team, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Rays and the Minnesota Twins. Rookie of the Year, I think it's obvious based on my video. I'm going with Jarred Kelenic. I think he's going to get called up this year. I think he might even be an all-star possibly for the Mariners if he gets called up early enough. Jarred Kelenic's going to be a stud. Pains me as a Mets fan to say it, but I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year. Cy Young, Bieber and Garrett Cole are the obvious picks. I went with the third obvious pick here with Lucas Giolito. I'm super high on what he did last year. His K rate was through the roof. I think he's going to take an even bigger step forward this year. Expect to see him be a Cy Young contender, and I think he's going to win it. And then for the MVP, yes, Mike Trout is the pick, but if I'm not picking Mike Trout, let's just say I'm not, because that's just like too easy and too boring. I'm going to pick Aaron Judge. I think Aaron Judge plays a full and healthy season this year, and if he does, it's going to be hard for this guy not to win the MVP based on the talent that he has and the value he brings to his team. So I go with Aaron Judge for the MVP. Now that we covered everything in the American League, let's move over to my favorite league now, the one that I watch the most, the National League. Getting it started with my favorite division, the NL East. Getting it started in 5th place in the National League East, I think we know who it's going to be. It's the Miami Marlins. Now, the Marlins are going to be scary, honestly, maybe even as soon as next season, but they're not there just yet. Yes, they made the playoffs last year, but it was in a weird COVID season. What they did was impressive. I don't think it's going to be able to happen over a 162. They just don't have enough starting pitching just yet. They don't have enough bullpen just yet, and they don't have enough offensive firepower just yet to be a team in this loaded NL East that's anything but 5th place. I love a lot of the young players they have. I like Brian Anderson. I like that Aguilar still at first base. A lot of young talent. They have so many loaded prospects. That pitching, Sixto Sanchez, you got Alcantara, Pablo Lopez. Those are 3 solid starters. Along with all the young guys coming up, they have potential, but I just don't think they're there just yet. 5th place. 4th place, you guys know who it is. The 4th place team obviously is going to be the Philadelphia Phillies because the Phillies are a 4th place team. Yes, I know, I'm picking the Phillies in 4th place again, but I feel like in this division, it's hard not to. While the Phillies have some good players, their offense was great last year, they still don't have the pitching that's necessary, I think, to win this division or be higher up in this division. Outside of Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, the starting rotation is still sketchy. Zach Eflin looked better, but I'm not sold on him. The bullpen, they added Archie Bradley, but it's still not strong. Lineup's good. Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Reese Hoskins, Alec Boehm, love Alec Boehm. Big hole in center field, and I don't think Gene Segura and Didi Gregorius are going to perform at the level that they did last year, along with Andrew McCutchen. I just think the Phillies are a 4th place team, especially in this loaded NL East. 3rd place, Washington Nationals, 2019 World Series champions. I just don't think they have enough to get a little bit higher, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get a little bit lower. The pitching is loaded. Strasburg, Scherzer, Corbin, they grabbed Lester and Joe Ross. That's a great rotation. The bullpen has some strong arms. Adding Brad Hand was nice, and you still got Juan Soto. Juan Soto's incredible, and Trey Turner, I mean, 2 MVP candidates, and you added Kyle Schwarber and Josh Bell. Like, they're such a hard team to rank, and I think they're going to be fine, which is why I put them at 3rd place, but they could also be a 1st place team. They could be last place. Like, this is such a weird team to talk about. 2nd place in the division, I'm going with my New York Mets. I don't think the Mets are a division winner just yet. I need to see them actually beat the Braves this year in order to get that 1st place spot. Really excited about what we did this offseason. We brought in Francisco Lindor, who was the best shortstop in baseball in my eyes. We brought in Carlos Carrasco to our rotation. We brought in Trevor May to the bullpen. We got a lot of great depth pieces. Noah Syndergaard's going to be coming back. The lineup is loaded at every position. We got James McCann at catcher. I love the construction of this team. 2nd place team with a chance to really be a 1st place team this year. And then, of course, coming in 1st place, I got the team that I hate, the Atlanta Braves. But I just can't not put them in 1st place. People are down on them for some reason. A lot of projections. Braves are just so good. They were 1 game away from being in the World Series last year and knocking out the Dodgers. I don't know how we can just write them off so easily. The Braves have the MVP in Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna Jr. They still have Marcell Ozuna. Pache's going into center field. Dansby Swanson had a better year. Ozzie Albies. D'Arnaud behind the plate looked great. They added Charlie Morton to a rotation with Max Fried. Soroka's going to be coming back at some point, hopefully, for them. Ian Anderson is sick. And then they have a ton of other young stars like Kyle Wright, Bryce Wilson that can fill in those last few spots. Bullpen, definitely a problem, but not really a problem. I think that they've got arms. I don't know why people are down on the Braves. I think they're a clear and obvious favorite to win the division, the NL East. NL Central time, the worst division in baseball. Let's talk about it because it's kind of up for grabs. But first, we need to talk about about the team that definitely doesn't have a shot to win it. That's the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are finishing in 5th place. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh fans. I love you guys. You're great. Your stadium is my favorite stadium I've been to, and I've been to like 20. But the team just isn't there. You got no pitching. You've got no bullpen. And on the offensive side, you've got Ke'Bryan Hayes. Pretty much it right now. There's not a lot to look forward to except Ke'Bryan Hayes this season and maybe some of the young players getting close to being called up. But it's going to be a really, really rough year to be a Pirates fan. 5th place. 4th place, and like honestly, this team I was even debating about putting in 2nd, the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds lineup last year let them down for sure. They had a down offensive year. Suarez was down. Castellanos was down. Moustakas was down. Everyone was down. And I don't expect them to perform that poorly again this year because they just have too many good bats, along with the fact that they still have Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray, who are top quality pitchers in the game. And they have some other guys in the back end of the rotation who I think are really going to step up this year. The bullpen, super sketchy, super weak. It's going to be like Lorenz and Amir Garrett and kind of figuring out who the rest are. Just really depends on how consistent the Reds can be. I just think it's a safer bet right now to put them at 4th. 3rd place, Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs had a bit of a rough offseason, and they still might not even be done because if this team's not really competitive in the season, they're going to be trading away some pieces. They look like they wanted to shed some money this offseason. They got rid of Yu Darvish, and that was huge for their rotation. Right now, their best pitcher is Kyle Hendricks, and he's good, but outside of him, it's like Jake Arrieta is their number 2. That's not really exciting. The bullpen is just crazy weak. Craig Kimbrell is their best reliever out there. I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. You still have Rizzo, Baez, Bryant, Contreras, Ian Happ. That's a great core, and that's why I have them in 3rd place. But the pitching's just too weak right now for me to be excited about this team and think that they're going to be anything than about a 500 team. 2nd place in the NL Central, I'm going with the St. Louis Cardinals. I think a lot of people have them slated as the guaranteed 1st place team, and I think you should pump the brakes there. Now, Jack Flaherty is a Cy Young caliber pitcher. He's sick, but everybody else is kind of a question mark. Like Miles Mikolas didn't look that great. Carlos Martinez, Kwang Young Kim, Daniel Ponce de Leon, Adam Wainwright. I don't feel great about that rotation. The bullpen, you have Gallegos, you have Andrew Miller. You've got some good arms out there for sure, and I probably forgot a few. I can't name every single player every time, but the big addition this year was Nolan Arenado offensively. But that's kind of it. A lot of young guys out in the outfield. Bader, O'Neill, Carlson, Tommy Edmonds going to be sprinkled in there. Matt Carpenter's still around, Paul Goldschmidt, Paul DeYoung, Yachty, but I don't think this team screams guaranteed 1st place. They're going to have to get some players, I think, in order to separate themselves from the pack. Otherwise, they're kind of just like every other team. I love the Arenado pickup. I don't think it's enough to make them a guaranteed 1st place team. And then coming in 1st place, I've been hinting at it in many of my videos, the Milwaukee Brewers. I think the Brewers are really, really good. Brandon Woodruff is really good. Corbin Burns is really good. And even a guy like Adrian Hauser had some good numbers last year. Now, the 4 and 5 starters are a little weak, but they've got such a good bullpen that it's okay. Josh Hader, Devin Williams, the 2 best relievers in the game. Even a guy like Brent Suter is good out there. Freddie Peralta. Now, on the offensive side, it's weird. You have Christian Yelich, who's an MVP candidate. You got Jackie Bradley Jr., which I really like that pickup, and you got Lorenzo Cain, Avisel Garcia, Keston Hiura, and they've improved defensively, putting Colton Wong at 2nd. This team, while it doesn't scream amazing, I think is the best team in this division right now, and I think they have the best chance to win it, which is why I put them in 1st place. And then for the last and final division, the National League West, which is probably the easiest division to predict, I think, in my eyes. Let's start off at the bottom, the Colorado Rockies. Colorado Rockies aren't horrendous. They're just not bad. They're in between. They're just like, ugh. Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon. That's what you got on the offensive side. Pitching-wise, it's German Marquez. Those are the 3 players to watch. Everybody else is kind of a question mark. They just don't have the depth. They don't have the players right now to be really anything than a bottom-tier team in that NL West. 4th place, I'm going with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I know I love the Arizona Diamondbacks in years past, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to pass the team in 3rd place, but I think they'll be a lot better than last year. Ketel Marte is going to bounce back. They've got so much young talent. I like their pitching staff. Bumgarner, Gallen, Kelly, Luke Weaver, Caleb Smith. I think those are some good arms, and obviously I'm a huge Zach Gallen fan. From the bullpen side, it's bad, and that's why I have them as a 4th place team. Like, it's a bad bullpen, probably the worst in baseball. But as I mentioned, Ketel Marte is going to be bouncing back. Eduardo Escobar is still a good hitter. David Peralta, Cole Calhoun hits for power. They've got some players. They're not a rollover type team, but I think they are 4th place. 3rd place in the division, San Francisco Giants. The Giants feel like just right bang on 500 this year. Around the infield, a lot of older players. Brandon Bell had a great year last year, but I don't think over 162 that's going to continue where he's a 1,000 OPS player. Brandon Crawford at short shouldn't be playing shortstop anymore. Evan Longoria at 3rd shouldn't be playing 3rd base anymore. Buster Posey behind the plate shouldn't be catching anymore. They have a lot of old guys in the infield. In the outfield, Yastrzemski looks great. Dubon, I'm not excited about, but I do like some of their young prospects that could be coming up this year, like an Elliot Ramos. Pitching wise, it's Kevin Gausman and kind of it. Like Alex Wood was a nice pickup, but that's about it. And the bullpen's just really, really bad. Giants, 3rd place. 2nd place, San Diego Padres. The Padres arguably won the offseason this year, grabbing Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, adding Ha-Sung Kim, grabbing Joe Musgrove. It's unbelievable. And that was for a team who was a World Series contender last year. They went and got better somehow. You got Tatis, you got Machado, Machado, Cronenworth, Hosmer. You got Nola behind the plate. In the outfield, Grisham, Pham, Myers, Lamet, Paddock, Darvish, Snell, Musgrove. Clevenger's hurt, so he's not pitching. Bullpen loaded. They got great arms out there. Padres are scary good. Might be a division, if possible, to have two 100-win teams. Is that possible? Because if it is, them and the first place team, I think, have a really good shot at doing it, because coming in first place is the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are just filthy. The Dodgers won the World Series, and they added Trevor Bauer to their team, the Cy Young Award winner from last year. Trevor Bauer is one of the best pitchers in the game, and they added him to a team that won the World Series. How are the Dodgers doing this? Every single position is loaded. I don't even need to go through the players because you know them. They're all all-star caliber players. Like a rotation of Kershaw, Bauer, Buehler, David Price, and then battling out for the 5th spot is Dustin May, Urias, and Tony Gonsolin. What? And they brought back Blake Trine, and they have Brusdar Graterol, Kenley Jansen. Like, this team's so good. This team's so good. Dodgers, clear and obvious first place team. So now let's go through who's making the playoffs from the NL, and then my awards predictions. So you have the Braves, you have the Brewers, and you have the Dodgers making it by winning the division. And then the wild card teams, of course, are going to be the San Diego Padres, and you know I'm putting my New York Mets in the playoffs. So the Mets are a wild card team as well. For the awards, starting it off with the Rookie of the Year, I think it's going to be Ke'Bryan Hayes. I'm just a huge Ke'Bryan Hayes fan. I think he has a potential to become a top 10 third baseman by the end of the year. His glove, plus his bat, plus how great of a player he is. I think Ke'Bryan Hayes is a really solid pick for Rookie of the Year with the Pirates. I think he's awesome. Cy Young Award winner. I'm going to be boring with this one. Jacob Degrom. I think Jacob Degrom wins the Cy Young this year. There's no signs of him slowing down anytime soon. Arguably could have won it last year, and I feel like he's only going to somehow get better. Like, Jacob Degrom is on another level. He's my pick to win the Cy Young this year. And then for MVP, maybe a bit of a boring pick, but I feel like people are sleeping on him, not getting enough love. Christian Yelich of the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, Christian Yelich, before last year, put up seasons of OPSs above 1,000 back-to-back years. Where's the love for Christian Yelich? This guy's unbelievable. He's a top 5 player in the game, arguably. He's going to be my MVP choice in the National League. He's going to be a big reason why the Brewers, and my predictions, made the playoffs. So now that we've gone through all my awards predictions, who's making the playoffs, let's start to talk actual playoffs here. This is what you guys have been waiting for. Who's going to win the World Series? So in the wild card games, we had the Rays versus the Twins matching up. I got the Rays moving on to the next round. And in the National League, we have the Mets versus the Padres. I'm going to have the Mets moving on. Now, I know you're going to scream bias. I get it. You know what's coming. But I think in a one-game series against the Padres, the Mets having Jacob Degrom on the mound possibly is a huge advantage. You have the best pitcher in baseball who shuts down everybody. I will take my chances with Jacob Degrom against the Padres that the Mets can beat them. In the ALDS, I have the White Sox matching up against the Rays because I think the White Sox will have the best record. And I have the Yankees going up against the Astros. Moving on to the ALCS would be the White Sox and the Yankees. On the National League side, I got the Dodgers matching up against the Mets, and I got the Braves matching up against the Brewers. I'm going to have the Braves move on to the NLCS, and of course, you know who's moving on to the NLCS as well. It's going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yes, I did not pick the Mets. I'm trying to keep it a little realistic this year. Dodgers are just way too good. They're just way too good. NLCS and ALCS, Braves versus Dodgers on the National League side. I've got the Dodgers moving on to the World Series. I don't know how anybody beats this team barring any injuries. They're just too loaded at every single position in the game. This team might be one of the best rosters that we've seen in a long time. And then from the American League side, White Sox versus Yankees, I'm going with the Chicago White Sox. I'm a huge believer in what the White Sox are going to be able to do this year. I love how that team is built. They give me big Chicago Cubs vibes from when they won the World Series. I'm putting the White Sox in the World Series, going up against the Dodgers. Now, drum roll, please. This feels weird because this is the first time I've done a prediction video and not picked the Mets to win it, but a drum roll, please. Winning the 2021 World Series in 6 games, the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm sorry to do it. I know it's boring. I've been going crazy with my predictions the last few years. You guys hated them. You loved them, but you also hated them. As much as I want to pick the Mets this year, I know I have a little bit of a jinx, and Dodgers fans, this is what you get for tweeting me videos of me saying the Mets are going to win the World Series. I didn't pick the Dodgers. Guess what? Now I picked the Dodgers. Now the pressure's on you guys. The Dodgers are going to win the 2021 World Series because you wanted me to pick the Dodgers all season long last year. You gave me crap for picking the Mets, and guess what? You should have been happy. You should have been excited. The Dodgers won it, but no. I picked them this year, and you know what's happened the last few years when I've picked teams to win the World Series? They haven't won. So I'm using the 1,000 IQ play here. Dodgers are the World Series champions on paper, of course. They're the best team. I'm thinking a little different this year. Not going to jinx the Mets like that, especially in a year where they can legitimately win the World Series. So Dodgers fans, I hope you're happy. I finally picked you, and I hope it works out really well for your team this year. I hope I'm right with my predictions. I hope I get it 100% right. I don't want to be wrong. Dodgers win the World Series. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, drop a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. You want to see more of it coming at you all baseball season long. Get in the comments down below. Give me your predictions as well as what you thought about mine. And make sure you drop me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links in the description. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. You know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload, so click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye.